It's kind of like self-management. They kind of manage themselves sometimes.
Now, the key to, and thank you, appreciate it. The key here is, guys, that it's all about finding the best tenants because there's two type of class of tenants. They're what you would call market rate tenant, and there's subsidized housing tenant. The majority of our properties are subsidized housing. But you would also want market rate in some situations, or should I say market tenant. The classification of what's called a market tenant is a person who doesn't have any subsidized vouchers or anything like that. There's no subsidized housing involved. It's just basically the person who has a job and you're qualifying them on income, you're qualifying them on everything else, credit and so on. That's what we call a market rate tenant. And then we have the subsidized housing tenant. Now, one of the reasons why we like subsidized housing is that most people don't know you can get that guaranteed rent, but the key to that guaranteed rent is why do it for one when you can get it for 3 years? In Baltimore, you can get guaranteed rent for 3 years. So we can have that person guaranteed in this property for 3 years, maxed out with the dollar amount that we want. So we'll do that type of situation on our rental properties and give them a situation in regards to like the numbers, what you're going to be renting this one for. In fact, you've rented it already. Is it rented already?
Yeah, we found a tenant for Norman for this one as well.
And what's the rent amount?
I believe it's 1,600.
1,600, yeah.
So this one is going to rent out at 1,600, and he's in at 722. Look at the numbers. And what I mean by 722, that's his mortgage payment. Now that doesn't include maintenance, that doesn't include vacancy, that doesn't include your lead certificate and all that stuff. And the key though is he's going to put at least $250, $300 in his pocket every month. Positive cash flow. And he got in already built in equity because he's in at 127 and the property is worth 180. So he has built in equity already. And on this one, at closing, you're going to put how much in your pocket?
$8,000.
So not only did he get in at zero money out of pocket, but he's going to put $8,000 in his pocket when he closed with the actual refinance company. It doesn't get any better than this. This method should be wash, rinse, and repeat over and over and over again. That's the key here. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Bob. I appreciate it. Now, we got the lender here. Where is Anthony?
How's everybody doing?
All right, you're good to go, Bob. Now, Anthony is the actual lender on the refi. Now, tell them about what you're looking for to get somebody in the project, and tell them about the properties, or should I say the actual products you guys offer for the investor.
Okay. Well, thank you guys for having me.
You take this one for you.
All right.
Just sit up.
I just want to say that this is a good time to buy because right now the inventory is low.
Talk to the mic.
Oh, right now the inventory is low, and so for you to be in a great position to rent out, you're just in a great place right now. And so when Norman came to me, he was asking about the different types of things that we can do. First thing I just want to tell you, I'm a broker, and we have many different options. And so depending on your situation, I will have to work with you personally because everything is not cookie cutter. And so with the different options that we have, I just want to say some things that I need from you to do is, and I have to look at my notes because I got different things going on. No personal income is used to be qualified.
So you got a no income qualification type of packet.
Okay.
Product.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So if for the new ones who are just starting and for the ones who are into the business, there's a seasoning as far as where you come to rent. So if you have a renter,
Anthony talking to the
okay. So if you have a renter, you need about 6 months seasoning to do a cash refi. All right, 6 months seasoning for a cash refi. Once you have that, your credit score has to be at least 620 and up. If it's 620 or up, we can do a lot of things with you. We can get you out of your hard money loan with an interest rate starting around 6%. And so with the refi, we can get cash out to 75 LTV, up to 80%. The debt to income ratio, for some, there's no restrictions, but at least, if you do have those different, when it comes to that debt to income ratio, 45% is what is the max. All right. Must have a current mortgage. We can do single family up to 4 units. For the loan value, we go up to $1.5 million. And there's no limit on how many properties. So we can go up to 5 to 10 properties that you can have in your portfolio.
Okay. Tell them your name, how to get in touch with you, all that good stuff.
All right, my name is Anthony Hudson. We're located in Largo, Maryland. I have my business cards with me. You can contact me best by text message. I'm gonna give you my business card, but because I have so many different loans that come in me, I'd rather have you guys contact me by text versus call me on the phone. All right?
You got the number? You can give me the number?
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. Okay, my number is 202-417-5356. The office number is 301-773-9811. 9811, extension 104.
And the good part about working with a broker is that they can find some of the harder or some of the easier type of products for you. Like he mentioned about no income, no verification. I didn't know they was going to bring that back out again after the mortgage meltdown. And I guess they haven't learned. So they still got those types of loans out there. And it's a situation where this type of guy is going to be a key part to your team. Remember, we said you need that purchase lender, and you also need that refinance lender. So if you're doing the hard money, this is your guy that's going to refinance you out of the project. That's what you're going to need in order to get to have your team in place. So we talked about contractor, we talked about title company, purchase lender, refinance lender, real estate agent. That's your team. That's what you need in order to do buy, fix up, and rent. That's what you're going to need. Left out one person. Tenant placement company or project manager if you're not going to manage or you want the property tenant in the company, a tenant for that property. Either a tenant placement company or a property management. And like you said, if you're new, I recommend getting in there yourself, managing your first couple of properties, getting a qualified tenant placement company to find a tenant for you. Now, before we go further, let's take some questions. Any questions? Yes?
What did you say the prime zip codes were again?
Anybody got those zip codes?
21207, 21239, 21214, 21206, 21219, 21144.
Mm-hmm.
1, 2, 3, 4.
3, 4. Yep. Any other questions? Yes.
How'd you get the appraisal value?
So before before I even start the process, and based on numbers are the comps from my real estate agent. From the comps, and at the end, then when you work with the lender, they do an actual appraisal based on the area, and they come in here and look at the property. So there's the beginning point where I know the numbers I'm starting with, and the actual appraisal done by the refinance coming out.
So remember when we talk about the deals we're looking for that magic sweet spot, 75%, 80%, where we know that the after repair value would give us that dollar amount. And the reason why we say the after repair value is because his goal is when he finished the work in the property to max it out to whatever the comp can be at. So he got the actual comp early on when he basically was looking at deals and he had his realtor tell him what the actual properties were selling for in this area. That's what he knew the actual appraised value was going to be. And let's talk a little bit about comps, because a lot of people get this wrong. What is a good comp? The definition is a good comp is simple as this: apples to apples. If your property is a 1,700 square feet, your comp property should be at least 1,700 square feet or no more than 10% to 15% more or less. If your property is a townhome, then your comp should be a townhome. If your property is a property that is basically in the Baltimore, let's say 21239 zip code, your comp should be in the 21239 zip code as close as possible. And in other words, a good comp starts out as what you would call a quarter of a mile, no further out to 1 mile. So you're looking for properties that are after repaired value. A comp is not a property that is at bank REO. A comp is not a property that is in rental condition. A comp is after repaired value. So that comp, more often than not, would have to have been a rehab project or one that's in like new condition. So a lot of people use comps from bank REO, short sales, properties that are not identical, meaning it's a townhouse here and they're using a comp for a rancher. You can't do that. It's apples to apples. And surprisingly, some agents don't know this. I'd be surprised of how many agents would say, well, what do you want for your comps? Well, there's only one type of comps. Yes.
So speaking of comps,
Mhm.
when you're looking at those, does it take into consideration like the level of finish in the home? So for example, like if you had open walls, if you had finished hardwood floors versus carpet everywhere, like does that affect what your comp should be?
Let's look at these two equations. The property you're looking to buy, because this project right here, this project had a wall going across here. Yeah. This project had a built-in bookcase on the other side of this wall that was built into the wall. This property, the basement, it was walled out. There was no bathroom in the basement. So when you're looking at your comp, you're looking and saying that what my people in these properties that I'm looking as comps are, that's what I'm going to do. Because you're trying to get their same number. So if they got recessed lighting, they got an island, they got granite countertop, you want to make sure you put that in your project. Because you're trying to make apples to apples. So if your property starts off raggedy, you want your property to end up at the highest value you're trying to get. And that highest value is the highest comp that you're trying to get. So your property should mimic or mirror that highest comp as close as possible, because that's the only way you're going to get that 180 value. If it doesn't, if it's less than what they did, your actual after repair value or your appraisal is going to be less. So the easy answer to say is that if you are looking at properties and you want to know how much your property would rehab for, find out what the comps are in that area and do what that property is doing that got that high comp. That's the only way you're going to get it. Do at least what they did or more as long as you're under budget. I know, yes.
Just wondering, if this property is rehab to be lead-free?
Mm-hmm. Oh, great
Yeah,
question. Great question. Here's another guideline that we go by when we're working with our students and stuff. No rental property can be anything but lead-free.
Yeah.
So in other words, every property you get as a rental needs to be in lead-free condition if you're buying it as a rental. And I'm telling you, with the law here in Maryland and how litigious it is in Maryland with lawyers, if you don't, it's only a matter of time before you're going to get sued.
And there's a difference between lead safe and lead free.
Exactly. Exactly. Lead safe basically says that we just did enough so that we encapsulated stuff. We basically made sure nothing was scraping, but we're not saying that there's no lead here. We're saying that the lead has been dealt with. You can still get lead poisoning. Mm-hmm. Now, lead free gives you a certification from the actual people who are doing the actual test on the property. And if something happens, because anybody can be sued, even though it's lead free, somebody can still sue you. You have that lead person who did the certification that you can go after and say, this is lead certified, this is lead free, here's my certification, I did everything I was supposed to do. I think you had yours and you had yours. Yes?
I was going to ask you, the money you put into it is 127. Does it include your closing costs?
That's everything.
That's like we're talking about,
Yeah.
you got to get in with
That's
the ideal way to do this deal is to get in with no money out of pocket when the refi occurs. So absolutely it's everything.
That's everything.
A question for you about the cash, basically cash given out in disbursements, or is it one time at closing, all the funds are released?
All right, so
Are you talking about the hard money side?
hard money.
Go ahead.
Okay, so for the hard money, you work with the hard money. They at the table they purchase the home with you. They sign all the documents. I transfer the funds and everything. Post that, me as a GC, I came up with a schedule, and there's a draw schedule of when the disbursements would come out. So they came at each stage of the project. For the initial one I did with them, now they kind of built a relationship with me. They would just send a picture, but like they would come in and want to see like the framing, the insulation, the HVAC, the ductwork, everything I said that I was going to do on that whole draw schedule. And each moment they would then give me that money that I said in that draw schedule what it would cost.
So in other words, think in terms of this. The lender, meaning the hard money lender, is going to want a draw schedule of how much money you need and when that money needs to be dispersed. Normally it's 3 to 4 draws. I've seen people do 5 draws, but normally what we do is 3 to 4. Draw number 1 is 15,000. Draw number 2 is 15,000. Draw number 3 is 20,000. Draw number 4 is 5,000. I got to supply the money for the first draw. So if draw number 3 is 15,000, I got to make sure I have that 15,000. Because the lender is not going to give me the money for the first draw. They're going to reimburse me once it's done, but I still got to have the money for the first draw. And that's another thing that most new investors don't realize, that you got the money for the lender, but on the draw plan, you only get the money when you put it up first, and then you get reimbursed for it when they come back out. So that's how that's done. Yes?
Going back to running comps, how do you know how far back to look at previous sales?
Great. When we're talking about what's a good comp and what's a bad comp, I start off with 0.5 miles from the subject property, 1/4 mile from the subject property. I'm going to go through all of that, but there's a whole breakdown of it. So it's 0.5 miles from the subject property, and you start off with comps in the last 30 days. And then you go up to 90 days. And then you go up to 6 months. And then you go up to 12 months. So I'm looking for the most recent comp, which is going to be the best comp, because the most recent comp in most instances is going to be where this neighborhood is at in value, because it's the most recent value. So if I can't find a comp for 30 days, I'll look for 60 days out, 90 days out. If I can't find one for 90 days out, I'll go 6 months. If I can't find one for 6 months, I'll go 1 year. Generally, the safest you can go is 1 year. When you go past that 1 year, it gets sketchy with the lenders and so on. They want to see it as quickly as possible, because 1 year out, that neighborhood could have really drastically changed in value. So ideally, starting off at 30 and then going no further out than 1 year. Now let's talk about distance. Starting out at 1/4 mile, 0.5, but no further out than 1 mile. So 0.5 is the parameter, or should I say the diameter around the subject property. 0.5 miles around the subject property. That's where you want to look first. And then if you can't find it at that distance, you go 1/4 mile. I'm sorry, 1/2 mile. You can't find it at 1/2 mile, you go 1 mile. But you start off with the closest to the property as possible first. He has one too.
It was only about the lead-free.
Mm-hmm.
So was this already lead-free when you purchased it?
No.
So
Is
you
there?
just had to-
So I contacted Lead Tech Services.
And Lead Tech Services is, in my opinion, one of the best services we've used for all of our rehab projects and so on. Lead Tech. I don't have the number with me, but look them up.
I have it.
Neil Teitelbaum, right?
Was
it Neil?
I know I had Jim McCade that I was
Okay.
using, but I have Lead Tech's main number. Give me 1 second. Lead Tech's number. Let me see, Jim. Here it goes. It is 410-321-7663.
And they'll come out with the gun and shoot around the whole house and see where lead is at. And they'll tell you, you got lead here, 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 here. And you got to remove it.
Yeah.
And then you got to have them come back out and make sure it's been removed.
Yeah.
And that happened with this project?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So they came and like all the baseboards had to be taken out. The whole basement had to be taken out. Okay, had what was it called? The
Plaster walls.
The plaster walls, and then the front of the house outside, the trim at the top was
Cornice.
yeah, the lead. The front door, the whole front door had lead on it, and then the bay window was lead. So I had removed all of that and replaced with everything brand new. And they're coming back with the gun actually on Friday to sign off on everything.
That was all part of the 50.
That's all part of.
All including your rehab.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean that whole service for everything was around like $300 for the entire thing.
Now, $300 to get it tested.
To test it, sorry, yes.
To test it.
To have the removal.
Right.
To have the
That was
removal,
part of the whole.
Sorry.
Right.
Yeah, to get it tested.
Yeah, to get it tested.
To get it tested.
Yes.
You said at the end he walked away with 8,000.
Mm-hmm.
How
Because a property appraised for 75% of the loan value. The value is 80%?
Sorry, 75%.
75% of the loan value. The value is 180. He's only in at 127.
No, I thought you meant, you said 8,000, right?
Yeah, so basically 75% of the 180 is 135. 135 minus 127 is 8,000. So if I was to
That's the
take out the
difference.
max value of it, I'll get all my cash refi out. It
So
would be
the-
around 8,000
So-
minus my cost.
What he's trying to say is the difference between 127 and 135 is how much? That's his
Yeah.
profit. The refi came in at 135, which means the refi is willing to give him $135,000. But all he's in is 127.
Okay, I thought he said the refi is 180.
The appraised value is
appraised value.
180. Right. It gave him 75% of the appraised value.
Yeah.
There you go. Yep.
Yeah.
Yes. Investor-friendly title companies, absolutely. Brian Gormley, he's my personal attorney, and work with all of my mastermind students. And let me give you his number. Gormley. There you go. Breaking my mic. Go ahead, Norm.
Hello.
Brian number is 443-739-7993. 443-739-7993. And Brian does all of those closings I mentioned, from assignment, double closing, trust closing, LLC close, subject to, lease with option to buy. He does all those closes, and that's why he's my attorney. Somebody else had a question. Anybody else? Yes.
So I had a situation. I had a realtor pull up comps for the first time recently. And so back to kind of how you said not all realtors are the same. So a lot of the comps that she gave me weren't really like good comps. So what do you do in situations where, like, for the ones that didn't have square footage like totally off, or the ones that maybe were off by one bedroom or one bathroom, or had an extra floor maybe, but the same number of bedrooms and bathrooms?
Well, extra floor is totally different, so I'm not going to use that as the equation. But square footage, you can go 10% to 15% in differential. Bedrooms and bath, doesn't matter. Because if this was let's say this was 1,500 square feet, and it was a 3-1, but my comp was 1,500 square feet and a 3-2, I got the same amount of square feet, which means I can put the same amount of bathrooms. So because I got the same amount of square feet, I have the same layout for which I can add an extra bathroom. That's what you're looking for. Doesn't have to be the same as the subject when you start off, but if you got close to the same square footage, you can make the subject the same actual footprint as the actual comp. So don't get stuck with one is a 2-1 and one is a 3-1. If you got 1,500 square feet, you can make a third bedroom somewhere, because you got one on this 3-1 right here already, which means I can make a third bedroom somewhere in this project if I basically rearrange it or structure the property correctly, so I can put a third bedroom somewhere, because I got the same amount of square footage. Yes?
Yeah, my question is to you, sir. As an investor, how do you estimate all these closing costs? Does factoring it into my equation, and if I'm trying to see whether a property is worth, I'm finding it difficult to factor in the closing cost into my equation before I make an offer.
So what I'm gonna do,
I'll turn it off. Sorry.
And today vary from different county to county.
It's not county to county, it's lender to lender.
yeah.
Go ahead.
So what I'll do is I'll get all your parameters, what you're doing in your project. And from that project, because like I said, everything's not cookie cutter, I will determine, the lender will determine what your closing costs and all that will be. So,
Sorry, I want to be able to have an idea of estimating.
Well, that's what he's trying to tell you. He's saying as soon as you give him what the project is, he'll tell you what it would cost based on the loan he's going to give you. He's going to say it's going to be 5 points, 80% loan to value. You're going to have to come with 10% down. This is going to be your interest rate. He's going to give you that as soon as you give him your numbers. What is the house you're going to buy and how much it's going to cost? Once you tell him that, he'll tell you what the cost is going to be based on a rough estimate.
right.
So that's how you're going to get it.
Yeah, my question is back on comp. I'm a mile out,
Mm-hmm.
900 to 1,000 square feet over what anything.
It's not gonna be a comp. If you're a mile out and you're 900 or 1,000 square feet over the subject property, the only way that can be taken into account if you're talking about a rural type of environment, a suburban type of environment. But you can't be 900 square feet above your actual subject property. What you have to do is make an adjustment. If there is no other comp, and the only one you got is 900 more, you have to make an adjustment based on the square footage. So you have to subtract from the square footage of your comp to adjust to the one for your subject property. Because there is none that matches your subject property.
Okay.
That's what you have to do. You have to make an adjustment.
Is it possible to do a refi after, is it possible to do a HELOC after he refis?
I gotta look into that.
Yeah, because you still have equity in it.
Yeah, I have equity in it, yeah.
Yeah, now we got another, perfect question too. We have another mastermind student that had a project where it was sitting there and it was free and clear, but it needed about $15,000, $20,000 worth of work. So what we did was we structured a deal to do a HELOC, and the HELOC gave him $80,000. So he used the money for the HELOC to actually do the rehab, got the property on the market. It's worth $162,000, but he's only in at 40-something thousand. But that's getting in the deal, once again, zero money out of pocket, pulling all your money out, and that was using the HELOC, and he used the HELOC on the actual property once he purchased it. So he had it free and clear. He'd had it it was in his family for years. It was free and clear. So yes, you can do it, but it depends on the numbers in the property, if there's enough room there for it to make sense for the HELOC provider. What do you mean by HELOC? Home equity line of credit.
Okay.
Yes. No problem. Okay, let's talk about the marketing aspect of this. Because these types of deals, we're talking about properties that we're looking at to rent out. These types of deals are opportunities where you want to get in at 75 cents to 80 cents on the dollar. So one situation is we're looking for absentee owners that own property that's free and clear or has at least 50 cents on the dollar worth of equity or more. So that's one strategy you can use. Craigslist, any of the social sites, any person you're talking to. The key is getting into that property where you know it's 75 to 80 cents on the dollar once all the work is done. Ideally, if you get in at 40 to 50 cents on the dollar, the other 25% on the 25 cents on the dollar comes from your rehab costs. So look at it like that. If a property is at least 50 cents on the dollar, I got another 25 cents on the dollar to spend on rehab, to spend on financing, to spend on my money I put down. That's the key. These deals are all over the place, but you have to be consistent in doing your marketing. Absentee owners is a great one. Another one is failure to pay rent notices. At the actual courthouse down on 501 Fayette Street, that's where landlords file for eviction. So you can go there and get the actual filings for eviction. You got landlords that are filing for eviction now. They may want to get out of these projects. So you look and you contact these landlords to see if they're interested in selling. They've already got motivation. They're filing for eviction. And the good part about the failure to pay rent notice actual details is it gives you the telephone number of the actual landlord on the failure to pay rent notice. So you can call them up. My company, we have a call center where we usually do somewhere between 600 to 800 calls a week. To absentee owners, to people that are FSBO, to people that are on Craigslist. And we use the call center to generate these leads, these different deals and stuff. We're investing in 6 different markets: Maryland, D.C., Houston, Ohio, Jacksonville, Florida, Washington, D.C., and Virginia. So those are our 6 markets that we're investing in. And it's all because of the ability to make so much opportunity out there, guys, based on what's going on in this market. Don't worry about the market crashing. I'm being honest with you. If you can take a deal like Brian can do, like Bob can do, like Norman and Bob can do, you can make money in any market. Bob is also in the mastermind. Bob is crushing it right now. Tell me about the rehab project you got right now.
Yeah, we have a rehab project. It's actually at the end right now. We got this through a short sale. Got it heavily discounted.
Heavily discounted is an understatement. Tell them the numbers, Bob. Don't be modest, man.
Okay, after repair value for the property is about 335 to 340. We got it for 155.
Hold on. 340, and he got it for what, 70 cents below? I mean, what, for 140? 140.
Yeah, we got it for 155.
And how much you put
after,
into it?
After we put about 60,000 into it.
Hold it. 155 plus 60 is how much?
315.
How much? Too much?
315.
No, it's not 3 budget.
No.
It's 215. Now, how much is the after repair value?
About 335.
So the difference between 215 and 335 is how much? Now, of course, he's got closing costs and all
Right.
that other stuff. But the
Right.
point I'm trying to make is opportunity is all out there. Finish. I'm sorry.
Right. Yeah. And like I said, we got this property through a short sale through another affiliate of Charles's as well. They have a short sale, a one-stop shop short sale company, Valerie Scott. I guess some of you folks have probably heard of her before, but if you're looking to do a short sale, that's the person to look for, Ms. Valerie Scott.